as a Kings fan, it makes me sick that the Lakers not only could the Kings have drafted Luka, but now we have to face him with the Lakers. Of course he's averaging over 40 points, and they're just perennial. They're a perennial powerhouse every year with him. There's just no rhyme or reason for the trade. We could go on and we could do a whole podcast series on how dumb it was. It's just
Well,
awful.
this is also par
awful.
for the course for the NBA. So you talk about NBA history. The freaking Lakers, they're like the favored sons. It's ridiculous.
All right, we're back. Titus and Troy here as always. Titus, it's week 3, and it seems fitting during week 3. We believe also the Holy Trinity, one God, 3 persons.
The power of 3.
We got the Iverson jerseys hanging in the background there with the number 3. And the Buckets and Gravy pod would not be complete without our third compadre here. Titus, Dasha's back. Dasha, welcome, baby.
We're complete.
Let's go.
Oh, man. I'll tell you what, Troy. So far, out of everything that we've posted on social media for this season of Buckets and Gravy, nothing has gotten more hate than anytime we've dissed on Maxey. And when I say we, I mean you, saying he's not a star. So I'm so glad Dasha is here it's like the universe is balanced again. It's so great. This is it feels right having all of us together, man.
It does. And Dasha, we certainly are gonna let you speak about your beloved Sixers. Fresh, I think it's fitting also, Dasha, that you're on the pod the night after a Celtics win.
That's right.
The last time you were on the pod, you went on a 22-minute rant about how bad Tatum was when they lost to the Warriors.
That was so
Finals,
beautiful, yes.
which was a few years ago.
Not a superstar. Not a superstar.
Not a superstar. And so we're back. And Dasha, the way we've been starting these pods is bashing or bringing to light one of our horrible takes. But Ty, just throw a little wrench in here.
Troy, we're going to have to switch it up. I mean, we talked about it ahead of time, and, we had a hiatus last basketball season. So probably the biggest, most shocking basketball story of the last couple years happened. And I want to ask you guys, I want to start with this. I have not prepped you guys for this. Where were you when you found out that Luka Doncic was traded from the Dallas Mavericks to the Los Angeles Lakers? So, Troy, do you remember? I feel like it's one of those rare things where in sports you remember the time and place that you found out because it was that shocking.
Yeah, I was up here in Ohio and mourning a Kings loss, and I remember that trade very vividly. I woke up the next morning and I was like, wait a minute, there's no way. But Ty, I was gonna say with this segment of bashing one of our hot takes, it's very clear Nico Harrison's hot take that AD was going to be better than Luka was very wrong. So
didn't pan out. He would be a horrible podcaster. All right, Dasha, do you remember where you were when you found out about this trade?
It was it on a Sunday, like late Sunday?
It was on a Saturday, very late at night. And I remember exactly where I was, but I wanted to hear if you guys remembered, because I'm sure we texted each other soon after.
Absolutely. I don't know exactly where I was, probably at home, but I couldn't believe it. Like most of those kind of things, you're like, this cannot be real. There's no way. You thought, the internet is all powerful at deceiving, and I thought for sure someone has pulled it over everybody else.
Or Shams got hacked.
Shams got hacked. There's no way this is true. And you're looking at all the fake Shams accounts for that, but it was like legit. You're like, this is not true. Like, there's no way someone could be this stupid. Epically stupid.
So that night I went to a charity event fundraiser, and it was like this big event, black tie affair. And afterwards, there was somewhere that everyone went. So I was in a bar in Midtown, one of the few times all year where I stay out past midnight. My wife and I and a bunch of people, and this group of guys I'm hanging out with, I have no idea if they like the NBA or not. Because as we talked about when we started the Buckets and Gravy podcast, part of the reason we started it was we were three guys living in the South who love NBA basketball and have very few people to like talk about it with, right? And in this very crowded bar, it'd been a long night. I was waiting for our Uber, and this dude just walks up to me, and I'd been talked about all night, and he just shows me his phone. And I was like, there's no way this is real. I just thought like he had, he was getting bad information. And he's like, no, I promise, man. So first of all, mad respect to that guy because I guess he knew ball. He actually followed the NBA. But everyone thought it was fake when it happened. So I just want to, talk about where this lands us now as far as, this completely, I think what I'm frustrated about, and I just want to get y'all's thoughts, whether it was in the moment. I think in the moment, we all thought it was stupid, right? I think what I'm so frustrated about was it would be one thing if it was two teams that were competing for a title at the time that tried to make a desperate swap. The Lakers were dead in the water. They were completely dead in the water. Anyone who knows anything about basketball knows that like they had such a fragile cornerstone foundation of LeBron and AD that AD was inconsistent. LeBron was getting older. They were going nowhere. And then it's just like this happens all throughout NBA history. They got resurrected. I think outside of the stupidity of what it means for Dallas, I think what's frustrating is it completely shifted Los Angeles's probably 8 to 10 year outlook. And that's what's so crazy to me.
Yeah, no, at minimum. And as a Kings fan, it makes me sick that the Lakers, not only could the Kings have drafted Luka, but now we have to face him with the Lakers. Of course he's averaging over 40 points, and they're just they're a perennial powerhouse every year with him. There's just no rhyme or reason for the trade. We could go on and we could do a whole podcast series on how dumb it was. It's just awful.
This is also par for the course for the NBA. So you talk about NBA history. The freaking Lakers, they're like the favored sons. It's ridiculous. So they've gotten Wilt Chamberlain, who helped them win a championship. Somehow they got Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who helps them win championships. Oh, with who guess? They get the number one pick in some horrible trade that ended up with number one pick again, Magic Johnson, throughout their career. And then they get Shaquille O'Neal later on. It's just, it is asinine.
And then LeBron.
Well, the LeBron. But before LeBron, also, they got Pau Gasol for J.R. Crittenden. And it helped Kobe get a championship. So all throughout NBA history, the NBA, if you want to talk about conspiracies, there's definitely a legitimate one to be had with how the NBA has facilitated the Los Angeles Lakers winning championships every single freaking decade. And this is par for the course.
The only time it didn't work out was when they got Dwight Howard.
And they did nix Chris Paul trade at some point.
Yeah,
I think Chris Paul is supposed to go there. So there's a little bit there. Maybe that just has to make it look even. But let's be real. Like these trades, when you go back and look at them, they were all-time heists. When you look at every single those players I talked about are all going to be NBA top 20 players. And how do they end up in trades getting 4 of the top or 5 of the top 20 NBA players of all time?
And guys, this trade it didn't make sense at the time. Like, again, I was blurry minded at 12:30 waiting for an Uber, and it makes less sense now than it did then. Like 10 months later, like it is so confusing that this happened. It makes no sense. As a Magic fan, I would have been okay if we traded Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner for Luka. I would have, like, in the moment, I would have been okay. I would have said, you know what, like, 2 awesome stars, we're still figuring out what their ceiling is. I would have been okay with it. And then for them to trade for Anthony Davis, who was 32 at the time. Guys, I want to say this. I don't know if I would trade Luka last year when this happened for prime Anthony Davis. I don't know if I would trade 26-year-old Luka for 26, 27-year-old Anthony Davis. What to speak of 32? It makes no sense that it happened. 0 sense. It feels like Nico was carrying out someone else's business or something. It makes no sense. If we hear that he buys a private island, we know that he had like secret under the table payments to do this, because it it defies any amount of logic there is. It's unbelievable, and it's literally shifted NBA history for the next 5 years.
Well, things coming
Also,
out
how does a guy like that get that job?
Well, the
Where do we apply?
the things that are coming out are saying that it was all Nico. They're like, we thought like someone could be Michael Finley, some of these other things, but Shams reported, he said this was Nico. This is his decision. He gained notoriety. He gained respect from the owner, from Luka carrying them to the NBA Finals. And they said that at that point, the owner was like, "Oh, Nico Harrison's like such a savant, like for putting this whole team together," not realizing that the one key factor of it was Luka Doncic carrying this team and doing everything he did to facilitate that team. That it's coming out that it was Nico Harris's decision. He was an executive with Nike. We got to look at his history. He is the one that was responsible for the failed Steph Curry not being signed by Nike, by Under Armour instead. And that was a huge failure. And for a guy like that to have that kind of failure and then be promoted to this NBA thing to make this kind of decision, this kind of power, it just shows how stupid maybe some of the rich people are that are owners that don't understand sports, and they fall in love with a guy that can talk basketball because they don't know basketball, and they think this guy's like some kind of genius because he came from Nike, and that's what's all coming out now is that the owner thought this guy was like the basketball genius. That he had the one guy that knew everything about basketball. And he trusted his decision. That's how Nico was able to sell him on trading around a franchise-altering star that was beloved by the franchise. Like who? I mean, the fan base loved this guy. I mean, he was like he was them. They wouldn't mind losing their games with this guy. But to speak of all the winning he did.
Right.
Well, Dasha, and I think ultimately, guys, that's why he got fired. Right? It's the fan base would never ever let go of this as long as he was there, because if you think about the trade itself, I mean, there was no time to let it kind of develop and play out. AD's been hurt, Kyrie got hurt, so like the trade just happened. I mean, we haven't even had a full season's worth of this trade playing out, and so I think it really comes down to the fact that the fan base was turning on this entire franchise. And every single day that went by that Nico Harrison was still the owner, right?
And let's also talk about kind of the elephant in the room. And Ty's brought it up. I think it was the very first podcast. Is Cooper Flagg is not a franchise-altering player that can lift them out of this. I mean, this goes back to that. I mean, it is their start right now. If Cooper Flagg had them playing like above 500, was carrying them to victories, doing different things right off the bat, like Troy, you said, you could tell right away. A lot of times, especially the all-time greats, you're like, they don't just kind of ease into it. Like they're good right off the bat. If Cooper Flagg was carrying this team to what they thought he was, or what a lot of majority of people thought it was, Nico Harrison wouldn't be fired today. We'd still have a job.
Who would you take, Cooper Flagg or Andre Kirilenko?
Prime Andre?
AK-47.
I do think it, all things considered, just with this trade, is you got to think like they were just in the NBA Finals and lost to that Celtics team, where that game 3, Luka fouled out. They were going to win that game if Luka didn't foul out. And you can say, okay, he shouldn't have fouled out. It's like, but quite literally, that team was overachieving, and made
and then
it to
just
the finals.
build around him responsibly from there, because it was a bad team with outside of him. Like they could have built responsibly around him.
Yeah.
It's Troy, remind us real quick, what were some of his other boneheaded moves? I know Jalen Brunson, he didn't fight to re-sign him.
Yeah.
What else? Wasn't there a few other things?
Yeah, and I don't know, man. I give him the Jalen Brunson thing is hindsight, right? I mean, they could have signed him for very cheap.
Troy, he carried the unit when Luka went out of the game.
Yeah,
they didn't miss a beat without him.
But the chance to sign him had already passed at that point.
Okay,
so
that's
so yeah.
But he did have a chance before, though, right? It wasn't like somebody else. He could.
They had the chance, but they didn't realize Brunson was Brunson at that point. I thought,
I'll tell you another bad one is we traded Caleb Martin for Quentin Grimes. That was a huge one. And they gave us a 2nd-round pick.
Yeah, they just got rid of Grimes.
They got rid of Grimes for Caleb Martin. They thought he was going to be the missing piece of like some kind of thing. Media is injured.
Yeah.
We got a second round pick plus Quentin Grimes, who's looking like at least a 6-man of the year candidate, possibly, and he's going to hit the unrestricted free agent market next year and be a 20-point scorer if he's given an opportunity to start.
Honestly, I'm just curious. Whenever Nico comes out and tells his story, it had to have been. Honestly, I don't. I would be very surprised if he thought it was a good. I think he just got pissed at Luka and was like, "I'm done with this guy."
I know
because
that's a really. If he tells that story, Troy, then that's even worse, though. Like,
it probably
I'd rather
is.
him try
No
to
doubt.
like to be that immature. Like,
well, he's already tried. He's already tried the rational approach. So he goes, "We need more defense."
Yeah,
he's tried the rational points, which is bullshit.
I mean, sure, that's what he's saying to the public, but there's just no way you can think trading Luka is the right move. I mean, you can't be ahead of an NBA team and think that. I'm sorry, I can't go there.
Well, Troy, remember we didn't have a podcast last year, so I will say this: the only theory that I heard that made sense, and I don't feel like there's much credence to it, is if they were worried about his alcohol drinking. That was the only thing that made sense to me. But like some of that is like where he's from. You just drink beer. Like there was, the TMZ had a picture of him drinking a big ass beer like the morning of a game. I think that's just like
Jokic
does
that.
Margarita bowl. He had a margarita bowl.
Still drop. Didn't we learn anything from Michael Jordan? He could crush like 24 natty lights on the golf course and still score 50. That was the only thing I heard that kind of made sense. Like behind the scenes, they were worried like maybe there's an issue here. But he looks awesome in LA, and again,
they lit the fire, right, for him to get into shape.
I mean, Eastern Europeans are a different breed, dude. They can drink, they can race horses, and still come out and give you a triple double.
But I do think that it had to have just been a relationship issue to where he's like, screw this, I'm done, and I'm gonna get AD and build around defense and Kyrie and whatnot.
And no playmaking.
You just can't. I just can't get there to where he like thought it was a good trade to get rid of Luka. It had to have been personal. Which still is dumb. I mean, when you get to that immature level, when you're running an NBA franchise, but I cannot get there to where you actually thought trading Luka was a good thing, and but maybe he did, and maybe he didn't think the fan base would turn on him like that, which is also insane because there's no doubt. Yeah.
And the other thing too, I'm not a big Twitter guy, but I have been on it lately as we've tried to grow our Buckets and Gravy Twitter presence, which Twitter like ruins my mental health. I think I'm gonna have to hand that to one of y'all. I just can't handle it. However, the hilarious part is after something like this happens, all the stories that start coming out, and one of them, and again, who knows if it's true, they said that, and again, this kind of points to maybe this guy like just doesn't know basketball like he should. He put apparently he like when he was like putting players on a board, he put Drew Holiday at the same level as like Giannis. Like a couple years ago, and he was like brainstorming. So like he might just be in like dumb when it comes to like understanding what I think like people that really understand basketball. I know that sounds silly because he worked his way up. He's way more accomplished than I am, but like the Drew Holiday story is pretty damn funny. And I don't know if y'all have heard any of these other like after they get fired stories that have come out, but I'm sure there's going to be really good ones that come out.
For sure. So
all right, so Troy, I do want to switch gears a little bit here. So Monday night was like a historically good regular season night. So I was watching my Eagles win a beautiful football game 10-7 against the Packers. So I missed some of it. I had caught up on the highlights, but you were blowing our phone up with just amazing stuff that was happening all over the league. Give us a little rundown and let's talk about some of the teams as the dust is settling of like what do we make of we're now, a lot of teams have hit that 12 game mark, 10 to 12 game mark. So we're getting to a point where, once we hit 15 games, we're getting pretty close to like a fifth through the season about. So, but I feel like that night was so chock full of action. What jumped out of you? Let's just rapid fire through what you saw.
I mean, guys, this is why we love the NBA. You could flip from game to game on League Pass, and it was buzzer beater. We'll talk about the Magic later, but Desmond Bane finally showing up and contributing in some shape or fashion, hitting a game-winning three. Donovan Mitchell draining a turnaround 3 from the corner to send it to OT, and then Andrew Wiggins getting the game-winning alley-oop.
So let's
in
stop
OT.
on that one, Troy.
So yeah,
Heat culture, baby. So we have not talked about the Heat at all.
We have.
I want to say two things, and I want to hear y'all's thoughts. First of all, every time we count the Heat out, like this year, their roster construction in no way makes them seem like a team that should win the division or should be a top 6 seed in the East. Yet here they are at the top of the Southeast Division. And that final play was so typical Spolstra. And I do want to juxtapose it a little bit to the ugly ass play the Magic had to put the ball in Bane's hands, fading away, hitting a ridiculous shot. We had 1.3 seconds. They had 0.4 and somehow had a textbook play. I mean, Heat culture, as much as people have kind of like, it was a thing and people kind of made fun of it, it still stands today. I think it's a real thing, and they seem to just get the most out of their players.
Yeah. So listen, they haven't even had Tyler Hero play yet. So he's coming back, and they just, when you have the best coach in the NBA, you're always a contender. I mean, you got to have the players. They have rosters. They got Davion Mitchell from the Kings, another guy we just randomly just let go. Guys are contributing, and Bam is always consistent there. They also have the ability to make a move. And they're lurking, waiting for that one guy that's unhappy where he is. There's been rumors about LeBron coming back. I don't know if that makes sense, if that would really put him over the edge at this stage of LeBron's career, but they're always lurking. They're always consistent. It's almost like Belichick with the Patriots. I know they haven't produced as many championships, but they're just always there. Or it's like the Popovich Spurs, right?
Right.
Except the Spurs had stars throughout that roster. Really, all the Heat have is Bam. So, they're just always there. What do you think, Dosh, about the Heat? Are you afraid of them as a Eastern Conference contender?
Yeah, I've always respected Spolstra. I think he's going to be the new head coach, right, for the USA basketball team. So that's how they. That's
a
how
great move.
Yeah, that's how he's respected like throughout the entire league. But yeah, every time I'm playing them, like when my team's playing them, I always feel like, okay, we're gonna have to win this game on talent or something else, because if it comes down to the X's and O's, Spolstra is the man. I mean, being all of his history, being the video coordinator of the Magic, he knows how to study film. He knows your weaknesses. He knows your team's weaknesses. That's what sucks playing him, is like you can't hide from him. He's not just going to roll out like the Sixers always seem to do, like, Wartown's better than you, we're just going to run a pick and roll, same pick and roll over and over and over and over again. He's doing all these creative ways to find the different weaknesses, even though he knows that's your weakness. He's going to jump it. He's going to figure it out. I would say, though, one of the I know we'll get into different segments, but one of the runnings for me is Coach of the Year, who I've come to really appreciate as a coach and as a man and as a Catholic man, is Joe Mazzulla. That what he is doing with the Celtics right now and this year. I watched the Sixers broadcast with the Celtics on Monday. He said he told ESPN this is the most fun he's having coaching. He is loving coaching this team. Like, he's not whining, does he? He's not Doc Rivers or all these other coaches who run for stars. Like, I don't have this guy. I don't have this guy. Like, he is like, I love this team. I love the response. I love how everyone's responding. Look at the Celtics and who they're rolling out there, and they're competitive every single night. Who they got. So yeah, between Miami Heat culture, and I hate to say it because they're our rivals, but the Celtics culture is legit with Joe Mazzulla.
I mean, I will say this: they probably have to be better than the 11 seed, though, for him to get Coach of the Year. So they're going to have to add some wins. But I will say this: the Celtics have played multiple players this guy that I've never heard of in my life, and they're competing. Like, I've turned games on. They have 3 or 4 guys that have barely played that are out there, like, giving it their all. I agree with you, though. I mean, that is a great franchise, great culture. On that Monday night, another game, Troy, that I want to talk about, when we just pull up the Monday night, is the Cade Cunningham. We've talked a lot. He's gotten a lot of love on our podcast. What is the deal with him shooting 49 times, 44 times,
46 times?
What was going on
game.
with that? Did he just decide, like, what will happen if I just shoot? Because he's pretty patient usually. So what happened there?
honestly, and everyone's gonna rag on him for taking that many shots and only making, I think,
14.
a dozen,
Yeah,
14 of
14,
them. Yeah. So, but they have a ton of injuries. Beef Stew's out. Again, you might laugh, but Tobias is out. And they rely on these guys.
I'm laughing.
They rely on these guys to at least take some shots and create some shots. And in this game, it's also against the Wizards, so it's just like let's just take over and get the win. Make sure we get the win, and that's what he's doing. And guys, I got to say this about I've been on Cade from the beginning of the season now. Just watching him play, and I think he might be the best American-born player in the NBA right now. There's not a lot of options. I mean, when you think about the best players in the NBA,
Well, let's go through
Luka.
that list real quick. Let's spitball that. So currently, right now, you have Steph, you have Durant, LeBron. Okay, the old guys. Okay.
Yep.
I think it's fair to put them above them. The up-and-comers, you have Donovan Mitchell, you have Paolo, you have him. As far as guys that are top 20.
Yeah.
Is that okay that I put Paolo in the top 20?
No. No.
Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah, I'd put Maxey above Paolo, honestly. Maxey's
and then
going
you have
above
Jaylen
Paolo.
Brown and Tatum. Tatum's hurt right now.
So
Who's better than Jaylen Brown?
I would say Tatum would be the one, and then Anthony Edwards. So I think Cade, Anthony Edwards, and Tatum.
Edwards
would
and
be the
Cade.
three.
I wouldn't put Tatum there. And I'm not just being a Sixers homer. I'm telling you, when it comes time, we saw his performance in our last podcast that I got a chance to be on was his performance in there. Cade's a different breed. Cade, like Tatum, I've seen him. I've seen the way he plays at the end of crunch time. He's really, I mean, the way he plays, pushing out all these things, pushing off, hoping for fouls and all this. Whereas Cade is like this under control playmaker, like the man. Like I don't get that from Tatum. I don't get that from Tatum. I think Cade. I would put Cade definitely, and I don't think it's close over Tatum. And then, but I do think Anthony Edwards probably needs to be over him at least right now.
Right.
But it's good.
Okay.
He is rising. But Cade, I saw him
Yeah.
against the Sixers a few nights ago
Yeah.
before that.
Yeah.
I will say, Troy, you laughed at me when I told you that any NBA team could win any night, and I told you what the Wizards are going to beat some teams
I did.
on some good nights because I
Yeah.
watched some of their young talent. Their center is it
Sar,
SARS?
yeah.
He is a legitimate
SARS 19.
Yeah.
He is a guy that's going to be definitely in the young, like under whatever that age group is. He's in the top 10, 20 of that. That center is very good. And they have the Keontae George. You got to see him play a little bit, hopefully that night, Troy, and see his talent. So I think the Wizards are going to do this to a few teams this year. But it was pretty awesome to see Cade. Like no matter who they're playing, whether it be the Sixers, a top level, or the other one, he's in control of the game, and it's almost like I got you. You know, I'm going to take care of it at the end.
That's it, Dasha. And I kind of I said this when talking about Giannis, where you just see the team. It's Giannis and a bunch of guys, right? And it's same thing with Cade, but you see the belief in the guys on the team. They know with this guy on the court, we have a chance, and we know he's going to make the right play every single time.
And I hate that when you
Cade
have those
down
guys,
the
you're like all these role guys are all being all cocky and acting all badass and everything.
Oh, I know.
But it's because they have guys
believe,
like,
right?
Yeah, all the great players.
He's infused the belief,
Yeah.
and both of them always have their composure. I mean, down the stretch in that Sixers game, 3 nights, I think the night before on Sunday night, the difference, and I think Dasha will get into the Sixers later, but you were commenting about how Maxey needs to grow into those late game situations. Also, the plays run for him aren't great either. We'll talk about that. But with Cade, like you said, the control of the game is just there. The moment isn't too big. The traps didn't get him. Everything was just he was in full control.
He's unfazed. When you look at him, you just you get this close up on there.
Yeah.
He's just unfazed, and he looks like I said, I got this. Like at the end of the game, no matter what's going on, we're losing, this and that. It doesn't affect him, and I'm very impressed.
Well, listen, we need to start talking about them more because they're 10-2, number 1 team in the Eastern Conference right now on an 8-game winning streak
without Tobias Harris. Who would have thought?
Without So,
well, Troy,
yeah.
where does Stephen Castle rank in your American rank? Is he number 3? That guy is unbelievable.
Listen, and I think we do need to jump on this next pod of just biggest risers in the NBA, because and he might be at the top of the list because honestly, he's dominating in so many. He's getting rebounds, assists. I'm wondering. I even texted y'all tonight watching that Spurs Warriors game, where they actually let the Warriors get back in it.
Yeah, the Warriors are about to win, which is crazy.
They're about to
I'm curious what happened.
Well, I'm wondering if Fox and him are not going to mesh up, and I'm wondering if they're going to trade Fox for
because they already have, because they got Harper, and that was one of the big things around the trade deadline.
They got Harper.
Like, do you need 3 guys? Do you need 3 point guards?
I don't think those 3 make sense together. I could see like the Sixers guards all are combo guard enough to work, but those are like 3 really, like, they're point guards in their own way for San Antonio. I think they could, any one of them has very high trade value. And I think you would probably agree with this, Troy. Like, at this point, Castle is the untouchable one for them, right?
100%. And the thing with Fox is he needs the ball to be effective. And he's not the man on that team. It's Wemby. And I want the ball in Wemby's hands, or I want Castle. You don't need Fox when you have Castle who can push it up, get the rebound, and push it up.
And Castle is so big and physical. I feel like he's not a guy who's going to go stand in the corner and hit shots for you, but he does all. He's like the best version of what Markelle Fultz was supposed to be. Is what he feels like: physical, athletic, offensive rebounds, good passing. Like, he kind of is like. I think that was what people thought Fultz would be when he went number 1 in the draft. And then, obviously, as a Magic fan, I held out hope. Castle is that without, like, the mental issues.
Well, yeah, no, 100%. And I just, man, I don't know how people thought when they watched that national championship game with UConn, that national championship run, Castle was unbelievable on that team. They're like, oh, Donovan Clingan. We don't even talk about Donovan Clingan anymore.
Right.
It was so clear that Castle was the stud on that team, playing defense, dominating offensive boards. I mean, I don't know how he didn't go number 1 in that draft, and it's looking like a big mistake.
Right. So we won the Rookie of the Year last year, so it's already he's already showing it. He was the best player in that draft.
Yeah, and I will say, just watching that Spurs team, we're sitting here kind of ragging. I'm ragging on Fox a little bit, saying he's tradable. It hurt to it's been hurting to watch the Spurs recently with Fox. Where at the beginning of the season Fox was out, it was a lot easier to watch them. But as a Kings fan, it hurts to see Fox wearing a different uniform. So I can only imagine what the Mavs fans are feeling with Luka, because it was Luka at least took him to a finals. But
Fox is on the market. We know a team, Troy, that could really use a point guard that could actually facilitate.
Hey,
all right,
listen,
so this is the perfect segue into home cooking, where we will break down our 3 teams, and I think there's no better place to start than. But Troy, there's been some buzz about the Sacramento Kings. You're starting to hear the whispers about anyone could be on the market. They might be looking to blow it up, and you guys have done a great job over the past couple of years of helping other teams become contenders. We have Halliburton, who went and became a superstar last year for Indiana. We have Fox, who, although he sounds like, he might be disposable at this point, but at least on paper gives San Antonio a chance. So let's flip to Sacramento, Troy. What are the pieces that you think will go first? And then I think we should expound on that as far as where we think a good fit would be for each of these pieces. Probably have to start with Sabonis, right? Because he would be the most shocking person to leave, but he's definitely your best asset when you take into account what he brings to the table, what he's being paid.
Yeah. So I was trying to fool around with a trade, a 3-teamer, getting Sabonis to the Magic. But primarily because y'all do have centers. Y'all are a defensive team, which Sabonis is not. So, but my point is, you could kind of surround him with defensive pieces, right?
Right.
But more so running the offense through him, because it looks like maybe the Magic are turning the corner, or maybe it's because Paolo was out tonight. It ran smoother. I don't know, but running your offense through Sabonis gives you something, right?
Right.
He can facilitate.
does.
He can do dribble handoffs, set screens. So I was looking at a 3-teamer where Suggs would get sent to the Rockets, and we'd send Sabonis to the Magic, and the Rockets would send over one of their prized picks, either that Phoenix pick or the Brooklyn pick, the Brooklyn swap. It's really hard to do trades these days.
It is, yeah.
So with the aprons, but yeah, and of course Houston would send back Van Vliet and some other contracts. But
Right.
yeah, I don't know if my hunch is if anyone gets traded, it's DeRozan. He has the most tradable contract, and he could totally come off the bench. Sort of like Lou Green or Lou Williams,
Right.
Type, where he just come and get you buckets.
Right.
Jeff
and
Green.
so
That was the other player you're combining.
or Jeff Green, Lou Williams type, where they can just get you buckets. I don't know if anyone's going to get traded, and honestly, if it doesn't, that's okay, because we stink. We can't win games, and we just need to keep losing.
DeRozan should go to the Clippers with all those old ass players they have. He'd fit right in.
I know.
It'd be the perfect or worst fit. It's like one or the other. There's no in between.
Yeah. So with the Kings, I don't know if anyone's going to get traded. I mean, it's
well,
one
Troy,
thing.
there's rumors about him going to Golden State. Sabonis. I heard that today as well.
Yeah.
Which I think, so I will take a little break from home cooking. Golden State did pull out this win against San Antonio, but in our first pod of the year, we talked about they felt like they were at this age where the wheels could fall off sooner rather than later, especially as this year has played out, how loaded the NBA is, how many young legs there are on so many teams. You know, Steve Kerr's obviously so accomplished, but he's never figured out how to work the younger guys in. And Draymond Green and Butler are prickly, right? Like, I have a lot more respect personally for Jimmy. I think, if anything, he was misunderstood at a lot of his stops. But Draymond, I think right when things are going badly, he's like one of the last guys you want in your locker room when the wheels are falling off. He doesn't feel like a galvanizer. He feels like he's great to bring intensity when things are going well. I don't know if that core of Golden State makes it to the end of the year. In fact, I would bet they don't. Something's going to have to happen to shake it up. And if things go really bad, really, really bad, Steph is 35, 36 years old. Do they consider giving him a shot to compete somewhere if they have to truly blow it up? It's interesting to think about. I don't know if Sabonis, my guess would be they keep Steph and try to keep adding Band-Aids to it and figure something out. Do you think Sabonis would be a good fit with Golden State?
No, because Draymond Green literally hates Sabonis.
Well, maybe they have to get traded for each other.
But they are in the market for a big man. And I mean, it does seem like if they do make a trade, it's going to be Jimmy for a big man or for a market.
Where's Horford? Is Horford playing at all for Golden State?
Folford's hurt. Yeah, but he's on the Warriors.
Right. That's kind of like their guy. I would bet against Steph. I follow obviously my favorite NFL team is the San Francisco 49ers, so I get fed a lot of Bay Area sports. So I get a lot of ins and outs of that. But I've just seen it time and time again where Steph is there. They're going to continue to build around Steph. They will never, ever, ever trade Steph Curry. So hope he goes to another team to finish off his thing. They would never do that to him, and Steph would never want that. He has his legacy where it's at. He's like Kobe. He's not leaving Golden State. So any trade scenarios need to have Steph Curry always stay in Golden State. They're always going to try to bring in pieces. They do have Kuminga that I think at the trade deadline, he could end up getting traded, right? Is he not tradable at that point? He has a great contract, and they may try to add a piece at the trade deadline in place of Kuminga, like you said, because they hate playing the younger guys. But I think Golden State's going to probably hover into just like they did last year. We remember they would have beaten the Timberwolves. If you get this team to the playoffs,
they would have.
This team is going to figure it out. The playoffs is different basketball. This team is not built for the regular season. You're absolutely right, Ty. But this team is built for the playoffs with all of these guys, game by game, same team, making adjustments each game. If this team could get to the playoffs, nobody's going to want to play them as the 8th, 7th, and all that seed. And I feel like that's where they're going to settle in, somewhere in the mid. When it's all said and done, these guys thrive off the drama. We always say, "Oh, Draymond's going to blow it up." This is what he
That's true.
does. He loves this
Well,
chaos. He loves this
listen to
drama,
this.
and it's never destroyed them. It's never destroyed them when
Yeah,
they got
that's
rid
true.
of Jordan Poole, when he punched Jordan Poole. If that didn't destroy a team, if him also
well,
with
it kind of did. It kind of did destroy the team.
okay,
so.
maybe a little bit, maybe a little bit. Hey, no, but no, they were right back at last year. They could have beat the Timberwolves. I mean, it's Draymond Green's the edge that they needed. That's the edge they've always played off of. Steph Curry's the good guy, the nice guy. That it says yin and yang between those two, and you add these different pieces. But they're going to be in, and as long as they're healthy, the only time they never have been is when Steph gets injured or Draymond gets injured. But
Yeah.
if they're healthy, they're going to be in the conversation in the playoffs. I don't think counting the Warriors out at this point, given our full track record.
Well, they're gonna make a
is not
trade.
it.
They got to make a trade, or they will not.
Right.
They will not.
But you
make a
did see
run
them
in the
moving
West. The
Kuminga,
West
right,
is-
at the deadline
yeah.
to getting a piece
I don't
that
know what
helps.
they'd get for him, but I could see them moving Jimmy, and I would not count out them trying to go after LeBron or Anthony Davis. I would not count out
That's
either of
good-
those.
good.
Getting Jimmy just doesn't bring enough to that team. They need size. They don't need perimeter players as much as they need size.
That's
So,
interesting to AD to them, because I don't know how all the
Yeah.
trade things go, but right now I don't know if you saw the owner for the Mavericks says he personally needs the approved basically AD going back to playing, which all of a sudden everyone's like, okay, they're about to trade his ass and really
yeah.
get rid of any
Jimmy
remnants
for AD matches
of
up.
get rid of any
Yeah.
remnants of Nico Harrison and the
Yeah.
bad deal that he did,
Yeah.
and really turn it over to Flag and then see what happens.
Good
Yeah.
luck with that. Turning it over to Flag. Hey, I will say this: I saw a rumor that like they're basically talking about some sweetheart deal, sending him and Clay to the Lakers, and I'm like, the Lakers already won this trade. Like they're gonna get all their pieces back. I mean, if
Yeah.
that happens, I might
50
I don't
cents
even know
or
what I'll do
5
with
cents on the
That would
dollar
happen.
tie too. Probably they're not going to get
yeah,
they're not going to get their
exactly. It would be
picks
like,
back.
yeah, Rory Hachimura and
We're going to keep our pick stuff. We'll do the trade, but we're going to keep all those first round picks you gave us or whatever.
right. That would piss me off so much.
Yeah.
I hope that would be fun to see AD with Steph. Because at this point, I love Jimmy. We've always given Jimmy Butler a lot of love on this podcast. You don't know what you're getting night to night with him. He'll have some awesome Jimmy moments. And there's other games where you're like, would Wiggins be more helpful right now? Like athletically, so I would love to see Curry play with a true superstar. And again, I don't even know if Anthony Davis is that. Like, you don't know what you're getting night to night with him either. I think he gives a little more certainty than Jimmy Butler, but I would love, like, anytime you see Steph in the All-Star game or play him at Team USA, he's one of those guys that he elevates everyone
He's
around
the best,
him.
and
even
he's the
though
best player in the court.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's amazing. I mean, Steph. So I think he deserves that, and I think that's why I floated him getting traded, only because like he's been stuck in this purgatory with them where they're so stubborn. They won't. I mean, how long have we been talking about them trading Moody and Kuminga? It's like unbelievable. We're on year 5 of that, and it's the same crap where you look at box scores and they're playing more, but they're still getting jerked around. And I don't know. I think it would be in his best interest to go to the Magic. Actually, is what I really think. Him for Franz or him for Suggs and Wendell. Wendell's been playing pretty well. So I don't know, but Dasha, you do make a compelling point. Like he probably is just not going anywhere.
He's not, and we are the fans. Our fans look at it as legitimate sources and not these wild internet rumors. So that's why I say let's not talk about Steph Curry going anywhere, because I know that they want him to be the player. They want him to be a Tim Duncan, a Kobe Bryant all the way through, and he wants that too. So that's not going to happen. So let's not entertain those magic boards there, Ty, and say like, oh, what if we got Steph Curry?
That was actually me and Troy. When I saw Franz playing like a first team All NBA guy tonight against the Knicks with Paolo on the bench, I'm like, what can we get for Paolo? Because both of them, first of all, we could get a ton for Paolo. I know that. Probably less for Franz, but they kind of both equally, the team does equally as well if it's just one of them out there, and we're not discernibly better when both are out there. So,
Troy,
Morant, any other thoughts on the Kings? Anything else?
John Morant.
What's that?
John Morant.
Nah, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
You got to go swing for the fences.
Well, it's funny, Ty, you asked anything else with the Kings.
With Jaw, you should say shoot for the moon.
Well, listen, it would be the total Kangs thing to do to go after Ja Morant. I mean, it just would. So
And just try to like add to the pieces you already have.
Troy, you
I'm
couldn't
just
do
waiting.
worse though, because you have older, aged out guys. I'm telling you, like John Morant needs a new change of scenery. He definitely
Ja
does.
Morant stinks at basketball and is a train wreck off the court.
We're only going to know if he gets traded, because I think we all agree. And I've listened to your podcast, so I got caught up to speed and what you all are saying, and I completely agree. He's the common denominator, but also the environment he's in. Sometimes people just get stuck in a bad environment, and
That's
the
true.
only way he's going to get better, it won't be he doesn't have any hope of getting to where he was in Memphis. It has to be somewhere else.
He needs to go to the Heat. He needs to go to somewhere like the Heat where they don't
say
play
that,
games.
Troy. Don't say that.
Don't
say that, because
the Kings
the
would
Heat
be,
are going. If he goes to the Heat, they will be one of the top 3 teams in the East. I guarantee.
I agree.
Don't say
that,
please.
Going to somewhere like the Kings would just further accentuate the
exactly
the drama. Honestly, one of the Kings players might get killed. I'm not kidding.
We did mention Dasha did mention Javaris Critton earlier in the podcast. A little foreshadowing if John Morant goes to the Kings.
Yeah. No, nothing else on the Kings, man. Listen, one of these weeks we're gonna do a deep dive on the draft. It's a little too early, but that's all the Kings fans are looking at is the. And as I watch more college basketball, I think for sure 3 studs, franchise-changing players at the first 3 picks. If you get a top 3 pick, but it's looking deep. It's looking like a 4, 5, 6, 7 top 7
the
players.
Athletics have 5 players at least right now.
Yeah,
they named 2 other guys. North Carolina point guard.
The Caleb Wilson, the forward there.
He's like a forward, but he looks unbelievable.
Forward, okay.
He looks unbelievable. There's a guy for I believe Illinois that was awesome. So there's or Virginia Tech. It was this freshman for Virginia Tech, this European guy.
We're gonna do, Troy. We're definitely gonna do this for you. I think our homework, me and Ty's, is that we need to at least watch one game of each of these players, so we'll have a good feel for it. And I'm down for that. I love that. This is what Sixers basketball was all about, man. We know to scout out players, look at players. Like I was on Markelle Fultz at the very beginning of his freshman year at Washington, and when we got him, I couldn't believe it. So there could be that side. I don't want to scare you too much. And also,
why are you ruining his hopes? Bringing up the Markelle Fultz thing.
Well, another reason I want to ruin. I hate to ruin his hopes.
Anything could happen.
Well, also the other reason is that the whole damn look what happened is last year's draft. Like the top 3 picks were all given to teams that shouldn't have been it. So the worst team got the 4th pick, which might not be bad, but then if you're like getting 25% odds, that means 4, 5, 6, 7. So you might be totally Kings and get like the 7th pick, and not get like all of the best guys.
I'll say this: I'd rather have any of the top 3 guys in this draft over anyone in this draft. I'd take the
in last year's draft
with Cooper Flagg's draft. Yeah.
Wait, hold on, Troy. I just want to be clear. Are you saying that Cam Boozer projects as a better NBA player than Cooper Flagg? Are we getting you on camera saying that?
I actually, I'll be honest, man. I still have hope for Flagg, man. He's 18.
Okay, that's fair.
And
but you are on the Cam Boozer train. Like you're in. Like this guy's going to be a solid NBA starter right away.
I'm in.
Yeah.
And honestly, I mean, I'd put him up there with Cooper Flagg. Like I'd take a top 3 pick in this draft. Easy. Compare over Dylan Harper and Dylan Harper might be a good player, but these guys. So that's what we're hoping for.
Here's the thing, Troy. I don't even know about the foreign guys coming. This is just college basketball. Like this is the best year of talent in college basketball that we've had that I can remember. Like, I mean, some of the stuff I'm seeing coming out has been unbelievable. And it's exciting. I don't know if it's like an outlier year or what, but this is an unbelievable class.
Well, these guys too. I mean, even guys like Cade struggled in college, and because of the clunkiness of the defense and the spacing, watching these guys, it reminds me of like Carmelo at Syracuse,
or Durant,
Durant,
right?
which is going close to 20 years ago. So These guys just move different, and man, they're franchise changers in my opinion.
Yeah,
And the
I agree.
Kings desperately need to lose every game. So that's
All
all.
right, should we talk about the Magic?
Let's go. Let's go.
All right, home
because,
cooking.
Yeah.
Now talking about the Orlando Magic. I don't want to be a prisoner of the moment, guys. I really don't. But I sat my butt down here and I watched every second of our absolute butt kicking of the New York Knicks in New York tonight. Now, New York had won 5 straight. And to me, it's like, you're not going to get crazy basketball analysis here. We played the way we've played the last years. We played unbelievable, unrelenting defense the entire game. Everything was difficult. Everything was frustrating. And I don't know why we have gotten away from that. And I'll say this, in the first quarter, even like Paolo was in, we were still playing like that. Like there was a clear tone set. And basketball, it's not rocket science, right? You play really good defense, you usually get better shots on offense. So we were getting out and running. Like we have to have some transition because Paolo and Franz are, especially Franz, is much better in transition. Like if you just watch him in transition, he looks like an all NBA player. Like there's very few guys that are that crafty, that strong, that quick. He always has a counter for anything the defense is doing when he's going downhill. In the half court, he's limited, and same with Paolo. But everyone was playing confident. We looked happy. So I don't know if that game winner unlocked something or the rumors about Mosley pissed the team off because maybe they do like Mosley. Obviously, we've been critical of Mosley, but we just looked free flowing tonight. And like I've been so hard on Wendell Carter. He was awesome. Goga was great off the bench. De Silva looks like a great young player for us. Anthony Black looked comfortable. So like across the board, like you watch it and you're like, this is a team that could compete in the East. I don't think we have the end of game fit. Like I think some of our same issues will still come back to haunt us as far as like having that playmaker or the guy that the ball's in their hands. And we still have an issue with figuring out how this all looks with Paolo and Franz coexisting. But man, it was like so good to see. It just felt good to play our brand of basketball. And the points still came. That's the thing. Like you could play great defense and still put up points. And that happened tonight. And it felt great, man.
I was happy for you, Ty, getting that win before you jump on the podcast because it was ready to pile up on the Magic and everything they did. But it just shows like the NBA is a very long season. And there's trends that happen, things that happen. What happened to Paul? I saw he played 12 minutes, basically the first quarter, and got hurt. Is it serious?
Groin. He might have pulled his groin. They're figuring that out right now.
But it does matter. It does matter who you play with, the matchups, and everyone having a defined role. I mean, the NBA, the best teams, the most frustrating teams to play is when everybody knows their role. I know you have positionless basketball now that everyone really harps on, but I'm huge on everybody knowing their role and how they fit with each other. And there's a good example of the Magic playing better with Powell, like at least this game against the Knicks. I've always been amazed by the Magic rising to the occasion against the Celtics and Knicks, teams that give the Sixers trouble. Like we'll dispatch the Magic a lot of times when we play them at full strength,
right?
But yet they rise to the occasion with these better teams. So it goes to matchups, but again, how they play each other. So I'm excited to see what moves the Magic make. You're right. This team, even despite what happened tonight with Powell's back in there, they got things to figure out, and it's not something's not working. We talked about coaching, whether it be Mosley or whether or not there needs to be trades that happen. But the Magic will not win a title like with everything that's what they're.
It's not going to happen. I agree. Yeah. Even if this team matures for 2 or 3 years. So, I mean, we'll see. Like Troy, you said earlier, it's so hard to figure out like what trades are even available. But we'll see. I will say again, I've mentioned it before, like the playmaking aspect, like we're putting the ball in Bane's hands too much. And I think that's create a situation where he's not able to just get off as many clean open looks as that was literally why we brought him in. People are pointing to his points per game, his percentage, but his actual 3-point attempts is actually what worries me the most. He's shooting far less than he did in Memphis, and we need him letting it rip. Like that threat has to be there. So
bring in Morant.
See. I mean, maybe there's a Morant trade. So tell me about that, Dasha. Do you really think Morant could come and, like, all things considered, to help a team? Like, let's say we give up less than you think we should, maybe one core piece, maybe we have to give up Suggs, okay, and Wendell or something like that, like Suggs and Jonathan Isaac. Do you think that a trade like that putting the ball in someone's hands like him could be something that makes the Magic an actual contender, which windows close quickly. So I'm all for us being a contender right now. And I don't think we are yet.
Right. I would do it because John Morant right now, he's young enough. He's healthy right now, as far by all takes right now. He understands his legacy is on the line. This is the kind of time where you need to trade a guy where he has something to prove. I think it would completely uplift Powell to have that kind of player with him. And then you really have a big three. And your fourth is then Bane, who he's played with before, who he has a number 2 or 3 seed with. And you put those two guys in the backcourt along with your two young studs. I think it's a no-brainer, Ty. If there was some way you can get John Morant, I don't know if you gave up all your picks already getting Desmond Bane or how that
would be weird trading again with them, right?
Yeah, but I'm telling you, if you got him, you guys again would be the top 3. That's why I said with the Heat would be because of their culture and their coach. You would be because if you manage somehow to keep Franz and Powell without getting him, that would be a game changer for your thing. And buy him on the low right now while he's disgruntled. Like you're not going to get him at a lower price than this if he turns out to be better later on. But I'm big on John Morant right now. Just knowing the talent that he is, the ability. And I think he needs a change of scenery. That's my take on John Morant. I know that's a big take, but I think he's struggling right now and that's all he's known. Get him somewhere else, give him a fresh start, and give him an opportunity to prove himself. I think John Morant could be an all-star again.
Troy, you pride yourself in earlier sessions of the podcast. You said, I watched every minute of Magic basketball. I think you've fallen off, man. Us Magic fans, we need loyal supporters. Did you watch tonight's game? Do you have any thoughts on their recent turnaround?
I didn't watch tonight only because I don't have access to ESPN.
Damn, dude.
They're no longer on YouTube TV. So, and I proudly do not have access to ESPN. So,
amen. Me too.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
but the second it comes back, we're all gonna be so
give it to the man. And we got a $20 credit on our bill. Who doesn't love getting a little bit of money back?
But no, I'll just say this: there's no way in hell the Magic are getting Ja Morant. I mean, they don't have the pieces. There's just not that. I mean, why would Memphis want Suggs?
Well, what are they gonna get? The guy is like a total cancer right now. He's a zero for them. Troy, you just said earlier he sucks at basketball.
They'd get, but with the potential, the right environment, they'd get a pick. I mean, they're not trading him without picks.
And you said the Heat have that in their pocket, right, Troy? They can offer more.
The Heat have it. So if they're gonna trade him, they're gonna go to the Heat, and just getting Suggs, that's just spending money at this point because Suggs can only be a role player. So and Memphis wouldn't have the pieces at that point, right? So
our fan base thinks he's a potential second team All NBA point guard. So Jalen Suggs.
I mean,
if we're going to be a legitimate NBA podcast, we cannot. I'll repeat: we cannot use the Magic board, message boards as our sources.
All right, guys. Well, we're coming up on the 1 hour point, and I feel like you guys, your vocal cords are now warmed up enough. As I look at the current standings, I see the Philadelphia 70 basketball Sixers sitting at 4th in the Eastern Conference. 4th in the Eastern Conference. And I have to say, with those Iverson jerseys behind Dasha, what a diehard fan. He's got the blue, he's got the black. I watched Tyrese Maxey play, and I have to think, Dasha, I'll give you the floor first just to kind of say what this experience has been, where this team has finally become Maxey's team. I'll never forget us sitting in walk-ons, watching them in that Atlanta series, screaming at the TV. I think most of the guys in there were watching like Chive TV or the Fishing Channel or the Golf Channel. We were in a booth yelling at an NBA game. People were like, what sport is this? It's in Tallahassee, Florida, so people don't follow the NBA like us. And Maxey, every time they give him a chance, stepped up big his rookie year. Again, he's risen every year. He is discernibly improved every year in the NBA. So what has it been like watching them, for the most part, give him the keys to the team, let Embiid kind of take a backseat, be a high-volume scorer. I would say shot blocker, but I haven't seen him play any defense yet this season from what I've seen. And you guys are 7-4, and you've had some impressive, gritty wins this year. What's it been like, Dasha? And then, Troy, I hope you have that ice ice cold bucket of water to pour right in Dasha's face when he's done. But I want to give you the floor to gloat a little bit about this is a pretty good start. And the East is pretty competitive. The Magic aren't bad. The Celtics aren't bad. They're 10th and 11th. So right now you sit at 4th. What have you been seeing, Dasha? What's the experience been for you as a Sixers fan?
It has been awesome to actually have a team that you actually like the players, you like the guys, and they actually are good and they're talented. And Edgecombe's getting that 34, that rookie record, or I think the first since Will Chamberlain, the most points since Will Chamberlain in a rookie debut. That's been exciting to see. It's kind of like what Troy hopefully will be able to experience next year when you get that one guy that you're like, okay, there's guys you can not only for the current status, but you can build on in the future. It's been awesome to watch. It's awesome to watch the first half. It's horrible to watch the third quarter. It's awesome to watch the fourth quarter until the last 2 minutes. I mean, the 76ers have been like a freaking roller coaster. So their strengths
down
are
to a science.
I do. It's every game.
Quarters,
it's every single freaking game. And Troy knows what I'm talking about because we text each other during the games. Is like in the first half, it's like beautiful basketball. It's moving. It's passing. It's the guards getting involved. There's a role player gets involved. One game it's Oubre. So last game it was Edwards, who was one of the top 2 or 3 recruits in Kentucky a few years back. Philly native, comes out, hit 5 for 5 threes. He's the guy, hey, this is the guy we should be passing the ball. And then what happens at crunch time? The last 2 minutes, and it was with Embiid. When Embiid's in there with Maxey, they just go to pick and roll, do not involve anybody else, and it's just those two. When Embiid's out of there, they're doing ISO Maxey non-stop. And every time it's not working, it's like beating your freaking head against a wall. Every single time you're like, this is not working. Like Maxey can't do this all by himself. Well, he hasn't figured it out yet. So there's 2 things in this, and this is kind of what I texted Troy, is that Maxey has gotten better every single year. From the moment you're talking about, Troy, I mean, Ty, it was a 16-point fourth quarter that bailed our asses out when we were number 1 seed against Atlanta. He scored 16 in the fourth quarter because Simmons was in foul trouble. He took over that game. I think it was a rookie.
I remember that.
And it was like, oh my gosh, we got a revelation. What does Doc Rivers do in the 7th game? He benches him, doesn't play him at all to try to force feed Simmons. And that's where Simmons has the ultimate choke job, where he has the wide open dunk against Trae Young and throws his wild pass against Matisse Thybulle, who's coming in and makes 1 out of 2 free throws. That was
like the last person you want, like
right.
with the ball in his hands at crunch time.
This is the beginning of the end of that era. But it was so obvious at that point that Maxey has a spark. He has something. But every single year he's played, he's gotten better. We had a debate a few years ago with Troy and all of us whether or not they should trade him for Lillard. I was like, absolutely not. If he plateaued, or if we had anything, this guy is still ascending. I have no idea how he could be. Meanwhile, you're trading him for a 31-year-old, 32-year-old, however old Lillard was at the time. I said, I don't want Lillard for Maxey. That is untradeable for that, because you have a guy who's 32. He's 1 or 2 years left in the league. Maxey's like 22, and he has like all 10 more years, and he's going, and he's proven us right, like just gotten better every single year. So I think what I'm seeing out of them, they're 7-4. They have exceeded everyone's expectations. Everyone thought, oh, they don't have Embiid, they don't have Paul George, this team is not going to be good, and they're wasting all this money. We're still wasting all this money, and I don't want those guys on the court. I don't want Embiid. Paul George. I'm like, oh. When he comes back, what is it going to look like? These guys with Grimes, with VJ, and with Maxey playing together, all the other guys love playing basketball because they're all involved. For Troy, I know you go back and forth on him, but he plays his role so well, including that last putback he had for the game-winning basket against the Celtics. But it's only that because you're telling those 2 old guys that slow the ball down and need the ball don't come on the court. Like Embiid's coming back, and so that's going to be the interesting dilemma going forward. We're 7-4. I think you had mentioned we had some good wins. We beat the Celtics 2 out of 3, which has been our kryptonite every time Embiid's on the floor. He absolutely just craps his pants. I mean, maybe a lot of times because it was Horford, but he cannot play against the Celtics for whatever reason. It's
also Daniel Tice seemed to have his number every year too.
Who's the other? There was another white guy that had his number. All these
Marc
white guys, White Gasol, but on the Celtics there was another white guy. And I don't know, and so that's what I've enjoyed about the Sixers basketball. But there is definitely a problem in the last 2 minutes. They can compete with anybody. They competed with the Pistons, like you said, who were 8-2. They're doing great. But that last 2 minutes, it's kind of like the same problem you have with the Magic, Ty. But I think we have the pieces to finish it that want it. I think VJ. I've been saying is he's been hitting shots. If he gets a shot in the last 2 minutes, he makes it. I'm like, get the freaking ball. Like that shows me something. Maxey should drive, kick it out to VJ. VJ's wants this moment. You could tell guys that want it and don't. Maxey is like, I have to do this, but his shot selection is pathetic, right, Troy? You saw the Sixers. He's just throwing up these random shots, trying to make it work against Derek White, who's one of the best defenders in the NBA. Like, kick it. You don't have anything. He tries this pullback shot. It's like, so he hasn't figured out if he's the ISO guy and if he ever can be an ISO guy, which we don't know. Like, he may develop into that because every single time.
Hold on. Are you questioning? He's a great ISO player, maybe in crunch time, but I've watched enough Maxey to say this guy can score in isolation. I mean,
he's saying in crunch time.
I'm definitely saying in crunch time, where at this point now it's him, but he's not involving anybody else. Even Steph Curry will throw it and get it back,
Right.
Like, Steph Curry's going to take the shot. Maxey's doesn't give it up to get a better shot, but I also think that's on Nick Nurse. I mean, that's coaching.
I was going to say.
I think that's 100% on Nick Nurse.
Like we saw the other Celtics game, right, Troy, on last Friday night.
The Sixers game against the Pistons.
Well, also against the Celtics. Remember, they had Grimes run it up. Yes. They said, let's throw it to Grimes and give it to him and do something. It's like they're giving it to a guy to do something with it instead of running other guys off of that.
Dude, that was Willie Taggart's old tagline: "Do something."
Right, exactly.
Worked out great for Florida State.
That's when you know you're not a good coach because.
But I thought Nick Nurse was known for game planning and scheming. This is kind of weird to hear.
Hell no, so he's so overrated.
Okay, Troy, you're going to get your chance on Nick Nurse. Let me just finish up. So what we have is guys that other teams will go to. 2 or 3 guys jumped on Grimes. Build off of that. When Maxey's driving, they're closing out the lane. 2 or 3 guys are running to him. They're shutting it down, yet he's forcing up a shot. Nick Nurse is not building something off of it until the last night's game. Edwards, who's 5 for 5 on 3-pointers. This guy was unconscious last night. They finally did something, and at the very end, they figured it out, which gives me hope for the future. Threw it to him. He missed the bucket, but the other team was running to him. They're like, this guy is at 5 for 5. This is the guy we got to stop. Jaylen Brown, everybody left to go run to him. Pritchard left. I think he was down there. And then that allowed Oubre to just have a putback right there, which Jaylen Brown whacked him and fouled, which they don't call. Obviously, Jaylen Brown was getting away with everything, including a challenge last night. Maxey jumped him on a challenge. He shoves Maxey to the ground, and we got a steal, which would have been a wide open layup. They reviewed it, and they still said it. I was like, what the hell? Maxey was there, and then Jaylen Brown just shoved him to the ground when he was all shocked that he jumped him, was in the spot and shoved him, and they gave it away. Jaylen Brown fouled Oubre. They didn't call it. Anyway, we held out. Drummond, of all people, probably slapped a little arm, but got Derek White all messed up. And we won a game against the Celtics, which we always lose. But it was because they figured out, kicked it to the guy that was hot, not giving Maxey. Maxey did 2 or 3 ISOs, right, Troy, that were just pathetic, throw up attempts, which you knew weren't going in. And we almost lost the game because of that. But then finally they kicked it. So what I'm saying is Maxey is the guy that people are going to try to stop at the end. He's getting the 29, the 30, the 40, close to 50 points a game that people know at the end. But he's not the guy to give it to him and say, okay, you've had all this point. Now go beat 2 or 3 guys that are rushing to you and finish it. They need to figure that out. I think hopefully at the end they are, but that's my take on the Sixers. But I love it. It's so fun to watch a basketball game without Embiid on the floor. I love even Drummond. I'll take Drummond getting his rebounds and kicking it back and getting the other guys, Samaki Walker, other people throwing them the ball, bounce passes, just this is basketball again. And I'm really worried about. They said Paul George is ready to come back. It's out of Shams thing in the next week. And I'm like, oh crap, what is this going to look like?
Yeah, I know.
Our younger guys cannot take a back seat to these two. Guys.
Well, Dasha, honestly, y'all need to showcase Paul George a little bit to get him out. Show that he can play some ball and then trade him.
The Warriors were interested in him.
Yeah,
Remember,
I'll
the
just say
Lakers
this,
wouldn't
man.
trade them to the Warriors. Maybe that would
If
be
I'm
somebody.
the Kings, I will straight up send y'all pick your player on the Kings, and we'll and send us a pick, and I'll take Paul George
Murray.
right now.
It's Murray, Troy. Murray or Monk.
Yeah.
No, we don't need Monk because we have Grimes. I'll take Murray all day.
Yeah. Take Murray. Take Sabonis if you need a big man.
Hey, man, why aren't you trade with the Magic?
Yeah.
Don't be like Nico Harrison and just do this trade of the dead of night.
On sorry ass Bane.
Yeah.
Like y'all.
But Troy, let's be fair. Let's be fair though. You want a team with Levine, DeMar DeRozan, and Paul George? Isn't that all what you have right now?
That's what I want to.
Because you want to lose,
losing, but. Well, you got to send a pick. I mean, I want the
absolutely.
Pick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So send a pick, and we'll make the swap easily.
All right. So Troy, I want you to lay out for us what ends up really happening to the Sixers because we're so early in the year, 7-4. From what you've seen, what is sustainable? What ends up happening?
Yeah. No. I honestly, Dasha, I agreed so much of what you said, and you use the word dilemma talking about Embiid. Navigating that, I got to be honest. I mean, now he had surgery on his left knee over the summer, and now it's his right knee that's bothering it. His career is over. We just got to call it what it is, and the Sixers gotta move him out the door. It's just done, and when he is playing, he looks like the worst player in the NBA. I cannot.
The worst?
I don't say that lightly.
I thought DeMar DeRozan was the worst. What the hell?
No, but Dasha, Embiid, when he comes in the game, he can't move. Even in that Pistons game, the Sixers were crushing the Pistons, and then in the fourth quarter they brought Embiid back in for like 4 minutes, and he literally couldn't move. He got the ball, didn't pass it, didn't dribble.
Hey, that Durant guy for Pistons is legit, man. That guy's
a real deal. He's a real deal. Yeah,
he was. Yeah, there was no Durant versus Embiid. It wasn't even close to the better side.
Yeah, that guy is legit.
Yeah, so I just think navigating the Paul George and Embiid situations are really going to be crucial because you can. I mean, those are movable contracts with trade assets, with picks, and you can add to this roster. And the Sixers need to make that decision right now as far as what direction are we headed in. Embiid does not deserve anything as far as this franchise is concerned. He has done nothing for this franchise. It literally has done nothing except take them to the second round. I know he won the MVP and brought them out of the process, but I mean, what has this bum done? He literally
you hit it on the point, Troy. He kind of brought us to a certain point, but what we saw in the NBA Finals a couple years ago when we were up 3-2, Game 6 at home, that was his chance to seal his legacy. They did this offseason.
Wait, was this a dream you had? The NBA Finals?
Oh, the NBA Finals. I'm sorry. It was round 2. It was still round 2. We've never gotten out of round 2.
It wasn't Eastern Finals either.
It was round 2.
Nothing with finals has involved in
the finals were in our we saw it. It was right in front of us. It was the Eastern Conference Finals that we had a chance to go to. That's what it was. Sorry, I'm so sorry. My bad.
No,
but I will say, Troy,
okay. Keep going.
Wait, let me say. So that was I think was the ceiling point for all Sixers fans is that he was fun. He engaged on Twitter. He did all these things. He made us relevant. He made us competitive. When Embiid was in the games, Troy, I definitely disagree. Tell me your takes at that time that he, especially during the regular season, right? In first round, he was dominant in first rounds for whatever reason. And then he was great on the defensive end. Like when he was in the game, the plus minuses were like off the charts. Historically, no plus minus was ever like when Embiid was on the floor, when he was off the floor, because of his defense. Because the way he everything just filtered to him. People didn't drive on Embiid. He was unbelievable. But that game 6 at home to get to the Eastern Conference Finals, which we saw in our thing, which we thought for sure was a done deal. Harden had 2 like game-winning 40-point games. Just like, here's a silver platter for a franchise. Here's the easiest thing you need to do. You're at home. You have the crowd. Jason Tatum is shooting the worst game of his life. Jaylen Brown is off. The Celtics are playing horrible for 3 quarters. Here's an easy closeout win for you, and you move on, and you finally move out of round 2, and he completely, I use it again, crapped the bed with Horford. Horford was his kryptonite. He turned around and just like looked at the hoop, did this when Horford just comes in like slow motion, comes and swats his shots. I'm like,
Yeah.
you have got to freaking be kidding me. Like, that sealed the deal for all Sixers fans. So that moment, we realized we're not winning a championship with Embiid. I think at that point, I don't think we signed him to that contract, but that should have been very evident at that point. But we didn't also have our Sixers team now. And the unfortunate thing is it didn't mesh. Like, seeing this Sixers team where we are now and Embiid's contract goes up, it would be a no-brainer not to renew it. But at that point, you got to remember, at that point, we were kind of like almost stuck with him. He did, Troy, I will always forever be grateful for what he did to lead us out of the process, to make a light of the process and the whole part of it, and get us a whole Sixers fan base to rally behind him. But he did lose all of us in that performance in the game 6.
This is my thing with Embiid, and I do think we need to unload on Embiid, because for some reason the national media, no one criticizes this guy to the extent that he.
Now you can pile on.
No one does. It's like, oh, he's a great guy and great player.
Misunderstood.
It's like this guy. Yeah. In the final minutes of the biggest games, he choked. He always ducked Jokic.
Right.
He would never play Jokic on the road, and he threw his teammates under the bus. And now I know Ben Simmons had his own stuff going on, but it's still, Embiid was in that game too.
Right.
I mean, to just put all the blame on it on.
He didn't have a
Ben
great
Simmons.
game. I could tell you that. And that's the thing.
Not at all.
Right.
He's always throwing teammates under the bus, and like you said, in that last second round against the Celtics, you're up 3-2. You had 2 chances, but that game 6 especially, he did nothing.
With the Celtics basically giving up, like they us playing so bad for 3 quarters gave the Celtics life in the 4th quarter. Like they were ready to lose that game, and we didn't take advantage of it.
And to me, it all culminated this past summer or 2 summers ago? 2 summers ago, when he joined the USA Olympic team instead of the French team
last summer,
because he just wanted to win. The dude is a total loser, and he is the most overrated MVP in the history of the NBA.
Wow.
He should never have won MVP that year.
Troy.
It is a disgrace, and he is a loser. And I'm sorry, man. I'm fed up with Embiid, and he looks like crap this year. He needs to get off the team.
Hey, he's in shape, guys. Hey, you guys just bring up the fact he's in shape. He is not.
And
fat.
y'all paying him this summer was
he's in shape right now.
Yes, he's in the best shape.
That's what he said.
He's in the best shape of his life.
Yeah. I have something to add. I'm going to be very analytical.
But I think he's
here.
taking that drug though that makes you like lose weight, but you don't get any muscle mass. You don't get anything good out of it. You just look good, but you don't play good. That's my theory. I think he is.
So here's the thing. This season, he's obviously playing less, right? And he's complained about that, the minutes restriction. So to be fair to him,
I don't think he's complained about it.
He's hurt.
He complained.
He's hurt, though.
He's hurt now, but he was complaining. Yes, Dosh, after a win earlier in the year, he complained, and he was bitching to the media like he always does. Like, I can't get in a rhythm. I'm on this ridiculous minutes restriction. Yeah. He complained. Okay. All right, so his numbers this year are very low, like across the board, just his averages, right? Like the lowest has been since his 2nd or 3rd year in the league. So to be fair, I said, okay, let's do the per 36, right? Because his minutes have been down. In his per 36, he is as low as he's ever been outside of a small handful of years. He's about middle of where he's been in points. But to put in perspective, the 23-24 season, his per 36 points was at 37. Right now, he's at 30 a game. Huge drop off. Per 36, like this really matters. His field goal percentage, the highest it's ever been, is 55% in a season, which is not abnormal for a center. Right now, it's the second lowest of his 10 seasons. He's at 46% total. So outside of his last year, this is the lowest it's been, which last year was a disaster as well. You go across everything. His rebounds is actually the lowest per 36, even including his rookie year. He's averaging per 36 minutes, 8.5 rebounds. It's never been lower than that ever in his career. Randomly, for blocks, he's actually kind of high. For blocks per 36, it's like right up there as good as ever been, 2.3 per 36. So my point is, every metric is showing a clear and steady decline over the past couple years from his MVP season. And we have a lot of data that shows if you're 7'2" and struggle with weight issues, especially, there's no going up from here. So my question for both of you is, can the Sixers compete for a championship this year without trading him? If he's just truly going to be, do you think he will agree to be just like a hired gun to come in and get them some points?
Hell no, they aren't competing for no damn championship.
Okay.
You
don't even think it's on the table.
I do. I'm agreeing with a lot with Troy.
Do they need to trade Embiid for that to happen, since you have essentially said it's over? Or do you think that they can still hold on and make him more of a hired gun, someone who he's shown he could come in and have spurts where he gets a lot of points, but he's not the centerpiece of the team anymore?
Yeah. So I got, so we talked about the NBA season being very long, right? And I think we are trying to figure this out as a team. We got to figure it out, obviously. I will say a couple of things on Embiid is that Troy, he was deserving of an MVP, but I will say it was the year before he should have won it. He was given it the second year. The year before, he had if you look at his stats that year, I was shocked that Jokic got it over him. The second year was almost like they were kind of competitive, but I thought it was the year before he should have got it. So I do definitely feel like because he finished runner-up 3 years in a row, or runner-up or tied with Jokic. So obviously over a 3-year season, 3 seasons, if you're in the first or second, you deserve one of those MVPs. So I do feel like he did have MVP caliber year, at least one of them. But this is the great dilemma, Ty. This is when I look at NBA history, I look at great centers. I look at when I'm looking at him, I'm looking at Patrick Ewing. Remember the Patrick Ewing theory? But I do feel like he is doing what Patrick Ewing did. Patrick Ewing earlier in his career was dominant inside. Embiid won't go inside anymore. He will not go inside. He's shooting threes. He's shooting jumpers, like Karl Malone too. At the very end of their career, these guys that are big and muscular, they just settle every single time. It's like, you're like so big. You used to do this. Come on. You're like yelling at the screen, but he's not that guy anymore. So he doesn't give us that interior presence anymore, that interior force. Now, if he can get a shot back on the midcourt, can he be a 20-point scorer? I do feel like there is something to him. He's already proven he doesn't want to be the man, right? That Celtics guy, those passive-aggressive things, to me, throughout his career shows him that he's not an alpha. He's definitely not an alpha. He is enjoying someone else doing this. He's getting very excited on the bench when we have games against Washington.
That's good.
When Grimes hits it, he is very happy and content getting his max freaking salary, waving a towel, doing his things and being called upon. So I think he is not one of those alpha guys that can't take a secondary role. I think he actually likes that. But the thing that's pissing me off is in the games that I've seen where he's in crunch time, like Troy said it in the Detroit Pistons game, where they bring him in and all of a sudden start running everything through him, like pick and rolls.
The ball stops.
What
There's
the
no
frick
movement,
is
nothing.
this? We haven't done this all season long, and we're in a crunch time team against the best team in the East, and here you are. Nick Nurse, Daryl Morey have got to sit him down and basically figure out if he's on the team, what he's going to do, and stop running offense through him in crunch time.
He won't allow that, though, Dasha, and that's the problem with Embiid. He is the most selfish, individualistic, individually center-minded, self-center-minded person.
Well, he mentioned in his ESPN interview, that interview, we didn't even touch on his interview, that he did to kind of his
My
PR
gosh,
piece,
I forgot about
his
that.
PR piece to try to like help. Like he goes, I'm really worried about my legacy. I mean, it said, "F you, man. If you're worried about your legacy, that was Game 6 against the Celtics. You've had chances to do your legacy. Your legacy is done. Your legacy is done. Now, when your legacy is done, the last thing you can do is get a championship. I mean, that's the only thing he can get now to salvage anything, is he at least leaves the game with a ring. But he's not going to leave with anything else other than getting a ring as a piece of the puzzle. Right? And so that's why this is why it's so funny. Every year the Sixers are like the most interesting team, or one of the top 5
They
interesting
are.
teams. Is like, this is like very interesting to see. We've had a lot of historical things in NBA things that it's not going to work. We have had some players that have taken lesser pieces, like Gary Payton with the Heat. There has been cases of teams that have gone to teams. Usually, it's going to another team, unfortunately. And that's but they have gone and been a Jason Kidd. The Jason Kidd, that wasn't the best Jason Kidd that was on the Dallas Mavericks that won an NBA championship. But he was a very key piece, and he did what he did well in a short period, in a small period of time, because they had Barrera relieving him. He wasn't like, hey, you're 40 minutes a game, Jason Kidd, go and carry us. He developed a 3-point game. So Embiid's going to have to evolve. It's got to be 20 minutes a game. It's going to have to be like clearly defined things that he can show flashes of doing so. I'm not giving up hope, Troy. I know you hate this about me. You want me to be totally crushed and just totally not have like any ounce of hope at all. But I am going to say my hot take. No, I'm going to say that I have not given up on Embiid just yet, because I want to see Paul George getting back, and I want to see if he can be that.
Well,
that
Dasha, I'm glad you're not giving up on Embiid, because he ain't going anywhere.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, Troy, when you said it's trade, the contracts are tradable, like, not Embiid.
Not Embiid,
Embiid's
but Paul
not tradable.
George.
Paul George.
I
could
take
be.
Paul George
Yeah.
quick.
But I think we are stuck
pick.
with Embiid, so we got to figure it out.
Yeah.
Whether he plays, we
Yeah.
can determine whether he plays or not. That's all.
But that's the thing, Dash. I just don't see him ever being like, okay, I'll play the fiddle. I'll play second fiddle to Maxey. Like, it's all about him. It's always been about him, and that's why he had no problem throwing Ben Simmons under the bus, and he's never been a leader, even though he is the clear alpha of the team, and
should be the alpha.
And
He's
the
never been the
franchise
alpha.
has suffered for it,
Yeah.
you know. And Ben Simmons has to take his own blame for his own life and his career and everything, but like,
Spoiler alert,
clearly,
he won't take any blame.
He won't.
You had two guys basically that wouldn't take any accountability, and they were never accountable. Wow, who would have ever thought that wasn't going to work?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But something clearly happened during towards the end of that season into the playoffs with Ben Simmons, is because there's no leaders there.
We were the number one freaking seed. With everything you say about Doc Rivers, we were the number one seed.
Oh, no
doubt.
Hawks
team.
No doubt.
And we could have escaped if we would have given Tyrese Maxey the minutes in the seventh. It's unbelievable. Like how these guys have been coddled. Like Simmons and Embiid have been coddled throughout their whole careers to try to make them great and tell them they're great, when neither of them are alphas, neither of them are the guys that lead your team to a championship. And we figured it out the hard way. So when people say the process has failed, it didn't fail. We just had the wrong, you had the wrong players. Like you don't know that. But I will say it gave us a chance. It gave us hope. So Troy, that's what I'm saying. For you to lose and to get this one player, he's going to be great. But you don't know until they get into those round twos, the round threes, whether or not they're going to be the one to take you to the championship. But they will make you fun to watch. They will give you hope. They'll give you the number one seed.
Well, they make you competitive.
They'll make you they can get you to the number one seed. I mean, all these things that Embiid did for our franchise. So I'm not going to completely shout down on Embiid. In fact, I don't know if you knew this, but I am kind of wearing his shirt here. So
Dasha, I have one question to ask. So when you talk about like older stars going and like helping as role players later in their career, wouldn't you say 100% of the time they have to switch locations first? Has that ever happened where someone was the star somewhere and then, I mean, everything we've talked about Embiid seems like it would make it even more difficult, and then settled into that secondary role, don't they have to get traded or go somewhere else for that to happen? Because you brought up some great points. I can't think of one of them that did it in the place that they were once a superstar, though.
I got one, but
okay,
he had won championships. I'd take Tim Duncan. When he deferred to Kawhi and all the other
best
great players.
teammate in NBA history.
Tim Duncan was not like the Tim Duncan when they won his last championship.
That's true. And
But
David Robinson, I'm seeing a theme here.
David Robinson.
They're all San Antonio Spurs guys.
Tim Duncan didn't fall off like Embiid has either, man.
Well, he was already averaging, like, if you look at his eyes, I think it was like 17 and 9 or something.
Yeah.
He was not Tim Duncan.
Tim Duncan.
He's also the greatest leader in NBA history.
Yeah.
Hey, you asked me to name. You asked me to name one, Ty. I was like, he didn't leave the franchise.
Let me
David
say
Robinson,
this.
both Spurs guys.
Yes.
Let me say this about the Sixers just to close. Dash, I've really enjoyed watching them. And Maxey, you said he is a star, and I was pushing back. I still need to see more late in games, but he's third in points in the NBA and fifth in assists. So that's not nothing through the first 10 games of the season. Third in points, fifth in assists. That's legit.
The assist number really shocked me. I had no idea he was averaging 8.5.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
He's fun to watch. I mean, that's what I mean. The whole game is like, why aren't we playing like this in the last 2 minutes? It's like, because they have other guys. Grimes, they have a third guy in Grimes. They have VJ. Give it to VJ. I am telling you guys, this guy is not afraid of the moment, but he's deferring. He's just standing in the corner. I'm like, this guy will take those shots. He wants it, but he's not being allowed to do it. So this NBA season is long. That's what I'm saying is like all these things we're saying in October and November now, early November. Let's see where we are in March. Let's see how these guys evolve. Gosh, the NBA is so awesome. Troy, wasn't it fun watching the Wizards and the Pistons? I mean, just like on a random NBA night, back and forth.
That whole night, I was just flipping from game to game, and it was all just amazing. It was the NBA's top notch right now.
Well, guys, I have a crazy question for you. Is this the season where top to bottom is the East better than the West? Because when you look at the standings, all right. The West, their 10 seed, okay, is the Utah Jazz at 4-7. And Golden State right now is 7-6 at the 9 seed. And then, you got Portland. But we have a couple teams that were supposed to be in the top 10 that are not, that look like they're not going anywhere. Dallas looks terrible. Like, the ironic thing is, remember on the first pod when my whole thing was like, Cooper Flagg was drafted into the perfect situation. He's going to play for a winner. Cooper Flagg is now in the same situation that every other number one pick has been in. He's going to take a crap load of shots. He's going to have freedom to make mistakes. So good or bad, it's ironic that he is like regressed to the mean as far as like the situation he's in. New Orleans, we thought might be okay. The Clippers, Troy thought was winning the NBA championship. Memphis has been a joke. I picked them as my sleeper team. And then all of a sudden, the Utah Jazz, who we know are perpetually taking, or all of a sudden, like if the playoffs were today, are in the plan. Golden State is a mess. All right, they're the 9th seed, and Portland and Phoenix are the 8 and 7. And I think all of us would agree, like those teams aren't even necessarily trying to win right now. So you look at the East, like I said, the Magic are the 10 seed, the Celtics are the 11 seed, and Charlotte, who's kind of fun and kind of sneaky competitive at times, is the 12 seed. And then you do have 3 teams with 1 win at the bottom: Brooklyn, Indiana, who would be better with Halliburton, and Washington. So top to bottom, and then again, I don't know how we weigh everything. Oklahoma City's currently beating the Lakers by like 100 points right now in the third quarter, like absolutely strangling them. Like the Lakers at 38 points at halftime, Oklahoma City like 74. Like Oklahoma City's freakish, right? Again, we both predicted them to possibly break the NBA win total, or Troy and I did at least. But the East, from a depth perspective, is this the first year in recent memory that the East is deeper than the West? And I think they might be, and I want to hear your thoughts if you agree or if you disagree with that.
Go ahead, Dosh.
Okay, thank you. Well, I wanted to hit on, I don't know if we're going to talk about, say, there is a West team. I thought, Troy,
Stop being so polite.
Yeah, you're being very polite. This is not like, I don't know what's coming, Troy, but you got something
Let's give it to
coming
Troy.
up.
The West sucks, Troy.
No, Troy, well, because his Kings are at the bottom. So he's like, the Kings are the bottom of the East. I'll take the bottom of the East over the Kings. But but I will say this: so this happens a lot in NBA history. The East, they get a bad rap. They do beat each other up. It's ugly. It's not as ugly or as beautiful as that. But as we talked about, Cade Cunningham, there's a lot of stars now coming out in the East that can make them that way. But I will say, like we forget, like the NBA Finals went 7 games. If Halliburton get injured, Pacers could have won that series. There was
100%.
games they made the OKC look bad. Like Jalen Williams looked like what I think Jalen Williams is. That's people talk about him. We know I think he's the weak link on that team. Seriously, he can tank their team, and he showed it in that series. So the Pacers could have won that series. They won 7 games if Halliburton didn't get injured. So, but the East this year, I would say at least on par with the West. When you look at those teams you're talking about, because now we're talking about the Sixers being legitimate and good, and I think we can play with the teams in the West. You talked about the Pistons. These are teams we didn't think, guys. Remember when you guys were talking about at the beginning,
right?
The Pistons, the Sixers, we were discounting them. Now they're kind of rising to the top. We know the Knicks are going to be there. The Heat weren't as a team we weren't talking about. So all of a sudden, Ty, you're right. Like these teams, because it's like 4 or 5 teams we didn't expect to be as good as they are, now is kind of evened it out. And so I feel like, yeah, the NBA on both levels. The Washington Wizards, I know they're 1-something. Like they're all hot and shooting good, and they have a couple young pieces. Of course, they have the really old guys in Middleton and McCollum who could put up 50 on any given night. I feel like
in 2016.
Yes, no, he's getting what did he get, like 45 the other night, Troy?
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
I missed that.
What I'm saying is that the East, I feel like even the worst teams, like the Hornets. You brought up a great point. If all those young pieces are hidden, they'll run a team out of the gym one night on a second.
They beat the Bucks tonight,
and they beat the Bucks.
Yeah,
So I'm just saying that. I would say if not better, Ty, I would say like this is the first time in a lot of years I can remember that you look at both. If you're matching them all up, that you could see that. Obviously, OKC, you take them out of the equation, and then you say that because
OKC and Denver, I'd put Denver up there with.
But if you look at it, I mean, could you not see Cleveland or Detroit giving Denver a good? I think Oklahoma City is, even though you're right, Dasha, the Pacers were hanging with them last year. They look unbelievable right now. They're kind of an outlier, but any given night or even in a series, I could see Detroit, Cleveland, these teams giving Denver, like Denver's not unbeatable by any means. They have the best player in the world, arguably, but there's nothing about them that I feel like I think Oklahoma City is separate from everyone else. And then I think you can make an argument for multiple teams in the East and then a few teams in the West being in that next tier. Do you disagree, Troy? Do you feel like Denver's tier 1 with OKC?
Going top to bottom, it's kind of tough. But I mean, looking at the top 6, just comparing each conference's top 6, man, those are some solid teams, man. I mean, there's some good teams in the NBA. I'm excited to see how it shakes out because there's just so much talent, so much depth, and it gives you good games every single night.
I agree. So we all think the East is the best, right? The best conference.
Ty, I
don't think we can say the East is the best, but the East does have some good teams. But
there is a team that we're sleeping on in the West, guys. I think I've listened to your first 3 podcasts, and I don't know if we've talked about this team. I don't know what segment.
Dasha, I was about to ask you, is there anything from the first 3 podcasts that you want to comment on? So this is perfect timing.
Well, at the time of the first 3, I didn't think of it, but then I looked at basically I looked at where they're at right now, and a team that we're sleeping on right now, crazy as it may seem, because we didn't even want to touch like the gambling and all that other stuff, but the Portland Trail Blazers, coached by Tiago Splitter. You guys beat them on a game-winning shot. They're the only team to beat OKC this year. They won again tonight. They beat they've beaten Denver this year. Not one of the other top seeds. They beat OKC. They had 2 tough losses on the road. Miami, they lost by 5, and they lost in a last-second shot to a very good Orlando Magic team.
And we played well that game. Like the Magic played our asses off and barely won.
Right, and then they won on the road. I got noticed teams struggling at the Pelicans, but they have some pretty impressive wins. They've beaten the Lakers this year, and they've beaten Golden State. So this is a team that I think right now is like we got to figure out what's going on with this team. Like
Yeah.
everyone thought, like Chauncey Billups getting getting arrested and being suspended. Now
Yeah.
Thiago Splitter, but Drew Holiday, he's not on Giannis's level, of course. And Nico Harrison, sorry to tell you, but maybe Nico Harrison was right. Just kidding. But they have this Vidya guy that they traded for the from the Wizards that it's averaging
Advija.
it's averaging over
Advija,
20 points a game. The
Yeah,
the
Denny
center for
Advija,
Connecticut, he's a legitimate NBA center. He starts from
Klingon?
he's
Yeah.
a defender, and they have this guy. I think it's Kamara or something that's like an all NBA.
Kamara.
Yeah,
from
that's
the
an all
Suns.
defensive team with Drew Holiday on defense too. So
Yeah.
whatever they're doing, and then Jeremy Grant is the front runner for Sixth Man of the Year right now. So something's going on in Portland right now. When you hear about those
Interesting.
teams that they've beaten, that's a team that we're sleeping on. So now I want to throw them into the conversation of teams we talked
Yeah.
about haven't. But the Portland Trailblazers are playing very well. Ty, you said they're in the play and they're in the playoff picture, and no one would have thought the Portland Trailblazers would be there. So I just want to give a shout out to a Western Conference team. I don't follow much,
Yeah.
but I've been noticing how they've been playing, especially when they were the
Yeah.
only team to beat OKC this year.
Yeah, no, that's big time for sure. And they still have Scoot that's out for
Yeah. Scoot hasn't played yet.
4 to 6 months.
And
then,
Lillard, who come in the playoffs.
You're right. Right. I mean, think about that. What if they do make the playoffs and all of a sudden they have Dame coming in, giving them 20 minutes a game? Shaedon Sharp, I've always loved. That guy is a freak athlete. He's a good ball player, and he's just kind of been buried in Portland. But to your point, Dasha, Dr. Denny has averaging 26 points a game right now. 26 points a game, which is a lot more than Embiid. I'll say that much.
He's one of the biggest risers also. Advija. Yeah, he's
it's 7
really
rebounds and 5 assists. I mean, that guy
he's a
is
good
legit.
defender too. He's a good defender. The Trailblazers are legit, man. They just don't have enough scoring when it
But
counts.
when they need it, like Grant comes in. Grant's like a flamethrower. He comes in. He's just like
for sure.
He's just scoring off the bench, which every good team needs to have. And
No
Splitter,
doubt.
like who would have thought this guy's like the funny guy who would get dunked on, and it was like the Spurs, but he's part of championship teams, right?
It's funny.
With the Spurs.
It's funny that you can win games when the coach isn't benching your best players in crunch time. Betting on games.
Yeah.
So, hey guys, I just wanted to bring up. Don't even need to talk about it much. The proof will be in the pudding come playoff time. But been watching a lot of Rockets, and he's had a tumultuous career, but man, it's just good to see KD on a competitive team again. He plays with so much fire every night. He's so competitive. A lot could be said. We could talk about his career forever, but just seeing him back on a competitive team, he cares. It's fun to see. He's still one of the best scorers in the NBA. It's awesome to watch.
Which is unbelievable for how old he is.
Yeah.
Like, I remember I was in college watching him at Texas that year, and he was so good and just like one of the best college players I've ever seen. And for him to still be doing it, I mean, Troy, we talked about him in the preseason pod, like, and I think one of the points that I said that is definitely bared true is like, yeah, he's been a complete like disruptor at his last few stops, but the problem was they kept pairing him with other players who wanted to be the go-to scorer, and then they ran out of salary cap room, so the role players weren't there. But this team is loaded with guys who are all more than happy to take like play a role, as Dosh was saying earlier, like play a role on a team. And like Amen Thompson is one of the few superstars that no one ever expects him to average 28 points a game, but he is already like on superstardom path. And then Şengün is a selfless big man. Like this might have been the perfect roster, and you mix that with the A+ coach that they have. They could be if there's any team that could beat Oklahoma City, it's them. I think if you just look at the chops, you look at toughness, you look at someone like KD who feels like any given night he could in a playoff game could go tit for tat with someone like Shea. I think in my mind, they're the second closest contender. OKC is far ahead of the pack, but I would put them ahead of Denver or any team in the East personally for betting to, like, if I had to guess someone who could win a playoff series, I think it would be them over OKC. So I agree.
Do they have the pieces
totally.
to get Ja Morant?
I don't think
they
should.
could.
I don't think
they
should.
But I don't think he's the one.
I don't think he should. But
and I will say, Reed Shepherd he's been okay. He's
playing better. We ripped him early in the year.
Well, he's coming off the bench now. He's not starting. That's a big part.
Well, and man, I'm sitting here talking about KD more, but man, I don't know if there's ever been a guy, even when he went to Golden State, with Brooklyn, with Harden and Kyrie, you fit this guy into any system, and you can say like, oh, Golden State was amazing. Of course, it's not easy to play in that system for one, but with other superstars, with Clay, Steph, Draymond, he fits in with superstar players better than anyone, maybe in the history of the NBA.
He's the best number two, and that's what I was. That's
anywhere he goes, though, he just fits seamlessly. Right, it's like It's like he's been on Houston for 5 years. Right.
When you guys were talking about KD in the podcast, I will say I was kind of shouting and what you guys kind of hit on it that we couldn't.
I wish we were filming that.
Yeah, I was like, I was cleaning my pool. Listen, I was like, ah! But I will say because the thing I've always said about KD is like, I'm not like as pure basketball. He is beautiful to watch. You're right. Just in a vacuum. Ty, we went to an Orlando Magic Nets game when he was with the Nets. There's no better player to watch pregame warm-ups to shoot. This guy is just silky smooth. Every shot goes in. He hits the spots. He goes to the corner free throw line, just like flicking the wrist. Like this is like effortless, beautiful shooter basketball. Amazing. But I will say, and you guys kind of hit it on the head a little bit. I don't think you drove it home enough. KD is not an alpha. He is maybe one of the best. He's probably one of the top 2 or 3 number twos in the history of NBA. Or like a lot of times there's 2 players and everyone's arguing who's 1 or 2, Kobe or Shaq. KD is always a number 2, always a number 2. And even on the Rockets, he's a great number 2. But he's not
the number 1 for them.
I would say Sengun. Like they run way when I watched them to run through, the way he could feed off and effortlessly play off of Sengun. Sengun is like, give me the ball, do this. Like, I'm talking about also not only the way you play, but also the mentality you have. A leader of the team. He has never, ever, ever, ever been a leader of a team, like the leader, ever. And every time you thought he could try, he backs up. He goes, that's not me. Like I'm just here to play ball. I just play ball, which he does at a beautiful level. But let's not ever get KD confused with a leader. It was clearly Russ. It was the OKC one, for better or worse. Obviously, it was Steph with Golden State. He had his big chance in the Nets. Complete disaster. Played beautiful basketball, but not a leader. Gets his coach fired, like you all said. And then goes to wherever else he goes to after that. Where did he go to after that?
Phoenix.
He goes to Phoenix. Again, this franchise is yours. Lead us.
That was a disaster.
Lead us to the championship. Lead us. Booker is clearly the leader of that team, but they
had already been to a championship at that point, by the way. Phoenix had,
Booker,
with
right.
that team.
But every time people they started to take him as the leader of their franchise. That was the big mistake of the Nets. That was a big mistake of Phoenix. Let's just call it, and talk about legacy, like we're talking about Embiid's legacy. Let's clearly say that KD's legacy is a leader that everyone wanted but never was. At least in OKC, he was not the leader. I watched those games. He did not demand the ball. He did not he was much as a failure of them giving up over 20-point leads against Golden State as Russ was. Like, he's had the chance to be a leader. Let's not sugarcoat KD's legacy and call him a leader, any sense of thing. He's a beautiful scorer. He can get crunch time buckets in a lot of cases. Yeah, he was the MVP of the Golden State one because look at everybody they played off, and they're feeding him when they're complete front runners at that point against the Cleveland Cavaliers.
It was a mismatch.
And then the gold, and he had his last chance in the Suns. So now he's in the Rockets. like you said, Ty, I don't disagree with you that they are an NBA Finals contender, but it's not because he's a leader. It's because he can get some buckets at the end of games, possibly. But Sengun is the leader. Other players are the leaders, and he's fine with that. And he's fine with that. But let's remember his legacy as never being an alpha, never being a leader, but being a beautiful scorer who could score points and do beautiful things. But I do want Katie's legacy to be remembered as not a leader.
Well, it's like Charles Barkley talks about being the bus driver. I think he may have been referencing Kevin Durant. Like, it's so hard to be the bus driver, the one who's driving the bus. But here's the thing: teams can win even if there's not a clear bus driver. Like, and I think this Rockets team has this perfect balance where the coach might be the bus driver. You have enough of an alpha of a coach that he's calling the shots. He's not taking crap. He's ripping into the 15th guy on the bench or the superstar. And I think it's the perfect situation. They are a team to watch, and the fact they could make a move is crazy. But yeah, they're loaded with talent, man. You go down the roster and I think they may have an injury or two right now. But
well, they have that Van
Vliet.
Vliet
Right.
contract, the contract that they can trade.
Right.
That's $25 million.
Right.
So,
so we'll see how that plays out. But right now, I will say this to end the Rocket segment. Şengün's averaging 37 minutes a game, followed by 38-year-old Kevin Durant at 36 minutes a game. And they're like, we have enough data to say there's no, like, that's not going to stop. And him and Şengün, he's averaging about 25 a game. Şengün's at 23. He shoots the same amount of jump shots same amount of shots as Şengün. So I think the combination of them, but the fact that he's with other selfless players is absolutely perfect for him. The fact they teams like it, clearly him and Russell, there was always tension, and then everywhere else he went, other than Golden State, he was put in rosters where there would be just as much tension, if not more, with who he was put with. So I think this is a great situation, and I'm excited. I mean, we need somebody to challenge OKC because I haven't checked the score with the Lakers lately, but this is just indicative of who they are right now, just beating the piss out of everybody, other than the Portland Trailblazers, Dosh. But the Thunder are scary, and I hope there's somebody. Yeah, they're up by 108-73 right now. Like, I hope someone can emerge to compete with them. The Rockets might be our best shot for a competitive series or two against them.
Yeah. Yeah, OKC, they're playing like they're pissed off that it went to 7 games in the NBA Finals. I mean, they're literally destroying everyone. It's becoming. I'm semi concerned that it might just be over. I mean, it's a long NBA season. Injuries we hope don't happen. It's only 10 games, but I mean, I don't see anyone touching them. And I know you mentioned the Rockets, Ty, as being the
only
best
hope.
contender.
I'm not saying they can touch them. I think they're the only hope to touch them.
I think Denver is going to be the team there, that just because when you have Jokic, you have a shot. I still think Jokic is the best player in the NBA. Shay's kind of making an argument that I need to stop saying that, but when you have Jokic and they added pieces around them this year, they have a little more of a bench.
Although Cam Johnson's been kind of disappointing.
Yeah, he hasn't been playing it.
He's shooting great, like 28% from three.
We'll see what happens. I think that'll improve.
Well, Troy, does your opinion change on Jokic? He only has 33 points at halftime right now against the Clippers. So,
yeah, so I still think Denver's. I mean, Dosh, what do you think about? Do you think Denver's the number one contender to the?
I think
Thunder?
they are. I think the thing that gives us hope is the playoffs, right? Once you get going to playoffs, once a team gets down, like, I don't know, it's going to require a good coach to beat them, and like Ty said, a good team effort. Like, I always remember the Detroit Pistons knocking out the Lakers. It's probably where, Ty, where you're talking about, where the sum is greater than the parts. They're not as good, maybe talent wise, but Larry Brown was the driver of that team. I mean, he had, I think Chauncey Billups was the leading scorer at 17 a game. It was ridiculous. No one on a team averaged more than 20 points. They had Rip Hamilton that would get hot, but they knew how to game plan. But I think that Pistons team is kind of like the blueprint for the Houston Rockets, right? To be that team.
Yeah.
He settles into a role. He's the Rasheed. KD's now the Rasheed Wallace. Was the top dog before, and now he's the front of the team. with good coaching and
Yeah.
everything like that. But I think that's the hope, to beat a team that you think is like at the beginning of the year, like that Lakers team. Everyone thought they're going for like another three-peat, right? Everyone thought that team could not be beat, and they
Yeah.
pulled it together. So coaching. So I think, Troy, what gives us hope is the playoffs, regular season. I don't think
Yeah.
anybody's going to touch OKC. I think they're
Nah.
number one seed by far.
They might break the record, Dosh,
They might break
for
the record, but
Yeah.
the playoffs, as we know, is what matters. What Embiid
Yeah.
knows, what matters.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter
for
what you do
sure.
in the regular season. So
For
that gives
sure.
us hope at the end. Like, we don't need to lose hope throughout the season, and to see all the other awesome things that are going on with the NBA. But
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
think the
For
Rockets
sure.
can be that team, not more so than the Nuggets. So I would lean more Ty, because I think all those parts, how they all play together, their bench,
Yeah.
and then they can move a piece. I really feel like Houston is, they're aware of their point guard deficiency, and I do think they make a deal before the deadline that's going to help them.
Yeah, I agree. Well, listen, the lights are going out on us soon. It's getting late, and maybe we'll just transition to everyone's favorite segment. I hate refs.
Yes.
And it was hard. There was a lot of contenders this week.
Celtics, Sixers, Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown elbow,
What the F?
forearm
Yeah.
shimmying Maxey to the ground.
And they did a replay, and they still said it was good.
They did the replay.
What the hell?
Yeah. Giannis getting a phantom foul on a 3-point shot on PJ Washington to tie the game at the end of the game against Dallas the other day. After Giannis literally got clotheslined and they didn't call it, which this guys, just this continues to be an ongoing development. I'm doing more research onto this, of just Giannis literally like getting the worst whistle in the NBA. Last week we talked about how Doc Rivers said that the referee said to him, well, he's playing through the foul, so that's why we're not calling it. It's insane.
So nice guys get penalized.
I hate referees. He's not flopping, so we're not going to call the foul. This week, though, the I hate refs, we're a little more positive. And honestly, there's a little jealousy. I don't know if you all Sixers Celtics game, Dosh, the other night on NBC. Mike Tirico was on the call. And I think it was Sixers Celtics, right?
Yes.
And there was a fan.
Yes.
Literally, it's like my dream.
Yeah.
A fan was literally screaming about the refs and the calls they were making and saying how much the refs sucked. So Mike Tirico turns around and interviews the fan middle of the game.
No
It
way,
was
I
awesome.
missed that.
It was like my dream.
Yeah.
So
it was awesome.
shout out to the fan.
Yep.
Shout out to Mike Tirico
Yep.
for just giving the fan his due.
Yep.
Obviously, the fan was angry.
Yep.
He has such a hatred for the refs as I do. And for Tirico to give him spot on air in the middle of a national broadcast was just awesome. So shout out Tirico and
That's amazing.
NBA,
I didn't know that happened.
NBA on NBC. Yeah. Oh yeah, so that happened. So the I hate refs segment is a little positive here, where the fan got some love and got interviewed, and a little jealous because I that's just my dream. That is my dream. I've dreamed of that actually happening. I never thought it would.
Big broadcast interview.
Alive.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
It came alive. So that's week 3 of the I hate refs segment here.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That was
All right,
great,
guys. Well, it's good to be back with the full trio of Troy, myself, and Dasha. Great podcast, guys. I'm very much looking forward to. We have some good games coming up, and let's just keep this rolling. Let's pray for good health. Of course, all of us are waiting with bated breath to see how the Emirates NBA Cup goes on Friday night. Got some good matchups there. The Magic play the 1-10 Nets, so I feel good about that.
Yep. Nice.
Yeah. And guys, just to end, basketball is a beautiful game. Kings are losing by 30 at home to the Atlanta Hawks.
Congratulations,
Amazing.
Troy.
It's a beautiful thing. So listen, guys, Dasha, it's good to have you back on the fold.
Thank you, brother.
And Titus, as always, and to our listeners in Ireland.
That's right.
Peace.
Peace.